right? She had an encounter with a guy. She was on him. She hella liked him, whatever. She called me the next day. She was like, yeah, we did woo whoop. And I was like, cool, right? A year or so passes. She meets a guy that she's really serious with. And then she's like, so I was thinking about that one guy I was with, and I think he me. And I was like, you totally wanted him. You totally called me. You totally told me all the details. Yeah, like, damn. What do you mean right now? But I think it was like the shame that I think she felt that she allowed herself to go there. And then when she met a serious guy, I think to herself, she was trying to make it seem like he overstepped or whatever. But he was like way tossed and she wasn't way tossed. Like she was fine. I think about shit like that. And I'm like, God forbid my sons were to have an encounter with a girl. She fully is, you know, fine with things. Mm-hmm. And then years, months later is like, the shame that I feel is uncomfortable, so I'm just going to say that you took advantage of me. Hell no.
All right, excuse me, just getting out of workout, but just seeing what old girl said. And I'm glad that some women starting to use the internet and tell the truth about other women. And they got, you know, potentially having sons and seeing how it could damage them. And that's what exactly you're seeing with this Me Too movement type stuff. People is broke, you know what I'm saying? You know, during the pandemic, obviously we know they had to pay people a higher wage to go to work. So when anytime they raise the cost, raise wages, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna, you know, astronomically shoot up the cost of living. You know what I'm saying? So they can regulate rent. They can regulate that. They can, you know, cut the property taxes and all that stuff. They choose not to do so, right? But, you know, you have women who feel shame, you know, once they figure out their worth. You know what I'm saying? And this is exactly part of the Me Too movement that they have. You know, a guy is able, you know, they get these women and they don't really know nothing, or they feel like they don't know nothing, and the guy, you know, gets them and they find them attractive, they sleep with them, and then it's like down the line, you know, he get what he want from them, and it makes women feel bad because you gave up your most precious possession, and then he kept it moving. He didn't give you a commitment once he got the box or got the neck. You know what I'm saying? He didn't like, you know, he didn't give you a commitment. And I've heard women online vlog about this, talking about how when they gave their body to certain men and they moved on and didn't get a commitment from them, it really made them not want to have sex no more. It made them really feel bad and lowered their self-esteem, you know? And all of a sudden you meet somebody that does it the right way, who shows you the right way, and, you know, give you a commitment, have your body, stick by you, and want to build with you. And then you say the other guy pretty much, you know, grape sodaed you, finessed you. And he didn't. You know what I'm saying? You didn't. He didn't do that. You feel shame, you feel guilt, you feel play, you feel bamboozled. It's like if I go out there and I buy this new Nintendo Switch that's doing great in sales, I just heard, and I pay $1,000 for it today. Then next week, next Saturday, they start going on sale for $200 hypothetically. I'm gonna feel like, damn, I'm a fucking dummy. But as a person, especially as a man, I have to take accountability for overpaying and being an idiot. You live and you learn. And what's the dangerous part about that? Other than saying she gonna lie and she can lie and go to court and try to press criminal charges, right? What's the worst part about that is that trauma that she carried from that dude, she can carry that to the nice guy, to the good guy, the guy that did it the right way. That's the wild part of it. She can carry that trauma from old buddy to here. You know, and a lot of times the guy that come and do it the right way and be nice to a woman, they fuck over those type of guys, you know, more likely than not. That's why there ain't a lot of, you know, guys with good intentions and ready to be with one woman, because they know how scandalous women are. And she still, and a lot of women in those cases, if that guy that they had that time with like that, they still go screw that dude. We did a video on a particular girl. There was this black girl that said she had got ran through on a regular channel, and the guy at Target, basically, blew her off. The frat boy blew her off and said, made her feel lesser. Then he called her up one night again, and he smashed her again. Like, come on, women do stuff like that. They do stuff like that. They will still go back and smash the guy that did less. A lot of women are just inherently bad people, and I said it. A lot of women are bad. I mean, look at Eve. Everything was good until Eve ate the apple. A lot of women are just, they evil. Eve evil. I'm just keeping it real. And a lot of people need to really have that conversation. You're like, men are inherently bad. Men were inherently bad. Women, it'll be nothing that you can do about it but be our slaves. There's nothing you can do about it. That's how you know men are inherently bad. Men are the ones that's allowing y'all to have somewhat equality. Somewhat all this power in the court system. But, like I said before, a lot of women will still go sleep with that guy that gave him less. But she felt bad because she gave him she gave him her most prized possession, which was her body. He didn't have to give a commitment. And if anything, he was drunk and you wasn't drunk. All of a sudden you find your worth, and now this no. And this is the dangerous thing about dealing with women. If you're on the player end of it, or you on, you really on the, good side of it. Eventually, women that actually like that encounter, and it sounded like, according to her friend, she liked the encounter with the other guy. Eventually, they're gonna revert back to what they really like. That's the one thing. That's one thing about being in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing about it, is that and being seriously is constantly entertaining a woman. Like, you basically got to be her jester. You basically have to be her jester. And that's the wild part about it. You basically have to be her entertainment. And real talk, that's the crazy shit about it. You basically have to be her entertainment. In a minute you focus on stacking bread and building a future for your family, her excuse is going to be why she entertained other dudes. I was bored. You wasn't doing this with me. It's like having a fucking dog, but with more responsibility. In a lot of cases, it's an impossible game to win. You hear guys say, "Oh, you just supposed to have the money and pay for everything and get the trophy wife," and when the trophy wife stick your ass up like a bank robbery, then how y'all really feel? Y'all feel stupid. Y'all feel stupid, and that's a fact. You got to get you somebody that rock with you, dude. Real talk. And if you can't find that, hey, don't procreate. Don't put yourself through the ringer. Then that'll be my opinion. Don't do it. And somebody's cheesy. Don't do it. There's just so much that come with, dealing with women in a relationship. And then, even if you want to just play the field, it's a lot that come with that, because you can end up in some of those bylaws of a relationship. Because if the condom break, she get crazy and she pop up your house when she ain't supposed to, you can tell women the absolute truth. And they just still gonna believe what they want to believe. And that's another reason we're talking about the dating coach. We all see that video eventually talking about, telling women why men lie. It don't matter. Tell the truth or don't tell the truth. They gonna let you like, well, I ain't looking for no commitment. They think they can finesse you into a commitment, a baby, moving in, leaving a pair of clothes here, leaving some heels here, leaving, what I'm saying, and try to finesse their way in. But eventually, what most people know, when you keep a rotation of women, eventually women, no matter what these women say, lesbians, bisexuals, straights, blacks, whites, orange, Simpson yellow, green, highlighter yellow, whatever the fuck you want your color, your ethnicity is, you want to identify with. What I know, what you know, what we know is this: women are always gonna want the security of a relationship, especially of a marriage. They're always gonna want that. That's a fact. They're always gonna want that part of it. At some part in life, they can lie and say they don't want it. They're always gonna want that part. So, we talk about how simps don't commit to women for a long term, for real, for real. Simps is, they like the people at their first baby shower that change clothes every time, or they like to change multiple outfits. They like to change women. They see one beautiful woman and then they see another one and they want them, so they don't really give you no hard commitment, right? And then you deal with women who are part of a man's rotation. At some point, they're gonna want a serious relationship, and what's stopping them from a serious relationship is they dealing with you. They dealing with other men. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna. It's a constant measuring stick. And if they do move on with another man, all right, and soon as some go haywire, or he say no, or they don't like what he do, what's the first thing they do? They gonna call you. They gonna call the old fling back. That's what it is. So you have to understand that, bro. And then sometimes the old fling may call back and she may not say no, and she may be like, yeah. I mean, that's why most guys are really like opting out of this. On top of her saying he raped me and everything that come with the trauma that she dealt with, and she gonna bring that into the next relationship. Then I gotta entertain the woman, and then it's just to the point where if I'm gonna have a rotation, two or three women that I'm gonna deal with, whatever like that, at least I ain't got to, at least I know they gonna peel off, as they find boyfriends or they get bored, they gonna peel off. And I can replace them. The only dangerous thing is about, STDs, STIs, you know what I'm saying? Well, wearing a condom, that's how you gotta play it. Even if you got somebody that is just one woman and y'all semi-serious, you got to understand she gonna step out. Even if you got one woman, in a lot of situations, she gonna still step out or entertain stepping out. So yes, regardless of which way you go, it's a dangerous game, to be honest with you. Real talk, it's a dangerous game. So we started to have these conversations, bro. It's like, you know, you just really, that's why I really picking the right woman. And a lot of guys be like, well, how do I know? You'll be able to tell the trauma signs. Trust and believe me, the traumas through what they saying, what they've been through. And that's why I say single mothers is a no-go. Sex workers are a no-go. You hear these traumas of these women that some of these women are beyond damaged goods. And that's why I did the video about a lot of women put themselves in the line of danger. You know what I'm saying? I did that video for a reason, because they say, well, I got taken advantage of. But if you hear the entire story of how they got taken advantage of, they put themselves in a danger zone. Everybody tried to protect them. The men of their life tried to protect them. Don't do that. Like I told you, I had a homie sister. It was three. He had three sisters and one brother. And his youngest sister, she was claiming to be gay. She went to a party, ended up pregnant. She tried to say that they kind of, took it from her. But we all listened to the story. It didn't sound right. And we know they didn't take it from her, bro, just from what she sounds. So it wasn't no point of getting rah-rah. So you got to understand, they put themselves in that line, bro. And I've always said this before. In most cases, women really had a glow up fast. That's why they say women mature faster, which I don't disagree with that, especially sexually. As soon as they start having them periods, 14, 15, 16, they in their prime. They in their prime years from that age to around late 20s, maybe 30. That's their prime years right there. That's their prime 15 years right there. So you think as they hormones and they start to develop breast and ass and thighs, and they start to get into that, and most of them that'll be their best body they have. Yes, they're the ones that's coercing guys into having sex and putting themselves in a line of fire with older men. Real talk. Yes, that's them. Yes, that's them. And then you put that in that situation where they're more aggressive sexually and more mature. And then you also put in the equation that they have the access to sex And most older guys know that I know how to get them. I know how to talk to them. I know how to buy them a bag of weed. I know how to, if I buy her a chicken sandwich or I got an apartment that's going to blow her mind, she can spend the night. It's easy. It's easy. So all these traumas that they go through and they be put through, bro, like a lot of them is self-inflicted. A lot of them is self-inflicted. So appreciate y'all. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link in the description, join the Patreon. Peace.